This video is brought to you by Nebula. Today, Israel cancels a visit by its defense minister to the US. The head of MI5 discusses unprecedented espionage by Russia and Iran, and Colombian election officials launch a probe into the 2022 presidential campaign. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Wednesday the 9th of October 2024. Israel has cancelled the visit by its defense minister Yoav Gallant to the US this week, raising fears that coordination between the two allies over the conflict in the Middle East could be jeopardized. Hours before Gallant was due to fly to Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, the Pentagon's deputy press secretary announced that Gallant would be postponing his trip. But as yet, it's unclear when or if it will be rescheduled. Gallant's visit was intended to allow the US and Israel to discuss Israel's planned retaliation against Iran for its missile attack last week, as well as Israel's expanding offensive in Lebanon. Last week, Iran launched a ballistic missile attack on central Israel in response to the assassination of several high-ranking members of its proxies Hezbollah and Hamas in the previous months. After the attack, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Iran made a big mistake and that the country will pay for it. Now, reportedly, Netanyahu himself asked Gallant to delay his trip until the Israeli cabinet has voted on its response to Iran, and until Netanyahu has spoken to US President Joe Biden on the phone. A source told the Financial Times that a call between Netanyahu and Biden has been in the works for many days, but has not yet taken place, while a US official said that a call between the two leaders was expected soon. It also comes as a new book by US investigative journalist Bob Woodward, who helped expose the 1972 Watergate scandal, suggests a strained relationship between Biden and Netanyahu behind closed doors. In the book, Woodward claims that in April, as Israel was preparing to invade Rafah in southern Gaza, Biden called Netanyahu a son of a bitch and said Netanyahu was, quote, a bad guy, he's a bad guy. Similarly, after Iran launched a barrage of missiles at Israel back in April, Biden reportedly told Netanyahu to take the win instead of retaliating, adding, you don't need to make another move, do nothing. However, when Israel later carried out a strike in July on the Lebanese capital Beirut, killing a senior Hezbollah commander and 3 civilians, Biden reportedly said, Bibi, what the f***? You know, the perception of Israel around the world is that you're a rogue state, a rogue actor. We'll be sure to bring you further updates on how this relationship develops over the coming weeks. There's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing tomorrow. Plus, if you want to support the channel like Rhodesia Black, then consider joining the TLDR Daily Membership Programme for just $1.99. Moving here to the UK now, where the head of MI5, the UK's domestic intelligence agency, has said that the country is facing unprecedented levels of threats by other states, but particularly Russia and Iran. MI5 Director General Ken McCallum said on Tuesday that instances of espionage shot up 48% in the past year, and that the range of threats facing the UK is the most complex and interconnected ever seen. He also said that Russian spies in particular are, quote, on a sustained mission to generate mayhem on British and European streets, through arson, sabotage, and dangerous actions conducted with increasing recklessness. Meanwhile, Iran is also making extensive use of criminals to serve as proxies for its espionage operations in the UK, mostly against dissidents. Over the past 2 years, McCallum said MI5 has seen Iran launched plot after plot, and that since January 2022, MI5 has responded to 20 potentially lethal Iran-backed threats. He also added that MI5 has one hell of a job on its hands, having to confront state-backed assassinations and sabotage plots against the backdrop of a major European war. At least 22 people have died in devastating floods and landslides, which wiped out whole villages across Bosnia and Herzegovina, causing severe damage to the Balkan country. 6 people are still missing. A key transport network that connects the southern part of the country with the central has been severely damaged, which has left many people unable to travel to different parts of the country. The railway line connecting Bosnia with Croatia was completely destroyed too. Damage estimates are at early stages, as rescuers still search for survivors in the area, around the southern towns of Konjic and Jablanica, which were the worst hit. A spokesperson for the government of the local canton said it was too early to talk about figures, but that the damage will be huge. A spokesperson for the regional railway company has said that the daily loss just from the fall in revenue from cargo and passenger transport amounts to around $157,000. Rescue teams from Bosnia's neighbouring countries, including Serbia and Croatia, as well as other European Union nations, have arrived in Bosnia, a candidate for EU membership, to assist in clearing the rubble. Now over to Colombia, where election officials have voted to launch an investigation into President Gustavo Petro's spending during his historic 2022 campaign, which made Petro, a former guerrilla fighter, Colombia's first leftist president. On Tuesday, the majority of the 10-member National Election Council approved the investigation into Petro and his campaign manager Ricardo Roa. The probe relates to alleged violations of campaign finance limits by Petro and Roa, who currently serves as the chief executive of Colombia's majority state-owned energy company, Ecopetrol. Petro quickly dismissed the investigation as a soft coup and an attempt of lawfare to unseat him, and wrote on social media platform X that the coup had begun. The outcome of the investigation could result in fines, but the impeachment of Petro remains a distant prospect. Suspicions surrounding Petro's campaign have grown over the last year. In July, his eldest son, Nicolas Petro, was arrested. He later admitted to prosecutors that he received money from a drug trafficker and used it for his father's campaign events on Colombia's Caribbean coast. Petro, who has struggled to enact the sweeping social reforms he promised, has been warning the nation of a possible coup ever since he took office 2 years ago. Last summer, former veterans who were a powerful political force and tend towards conservatism led mass protests against the government. But so far, fears that the military will not accept a 4-year government in the hands of a former guerrilla have failed to materialise. In a groundbreaking effort, a coalition of 1,400 organisations known as Girls Not Brides has been dedicated to ending child marriage around the globe for over a decade. Their efforts align with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal to eliminate child marriage by 2030. This year, they supported the passage of a new US federal law, the Child Marriage Prevention Act of 2024. In Sierra Leone, where 30% of girls marry before turning 18, the coalition played a pivotal role in enacting the Prohibition of Child Marriages Act of 2024, landmark legislation that's the first of its kind in the country. Despite a decrease in global child marriage rates from 21.7% to 18.7% over the past 10 years, no region is currently on target to meet the 2030 elimination goal. In a statement to Global Citizen, the group emphasised their commitment to intensifying efforts and enhancing collaboration with international entities as they strive to meet the UN target within the next 6 years. Now, we've discussed President Biden's increasing frustration with Netanyahu in this episode, just one of many news stories coming out of the United States at the moment, especially given we're less than 1 month out from the US election. So if you want to keep up to date with election news, check out our Nebula exclusive show, WTF USA.
WTF USA is our slightly tongue-in-cheek look at the US election. Each week, we dive into the online discourse, explain the politics behind the stories, and tell you if you really need to pay attention. For example, in recent episodes, we've talked about Trump's foray into the world of crypto, claims of dog eating, and AI-generated Musk memes. These might sound stupid, but they actually tell us a lot about the candidate's economic plans, the state of post-truth politics, and how the US feels about its deficit. That is to say, WTF USA brings you the wildest moments from the 2024 election, tells you the hidden political meaning behind each of them, and then if you can just ignore the chaos, or if you should follow along. New videos come out every Friday only on Nebula. That's the streaming service we've built alongside a bunch of our creator friends, and where you can find all kinds of superb content like WTF. We're super proud of WTF USA, and we hope that with your support, we'll be able to make other interesting, weird, and entertaining series with Nebula in the future. So signing up genuinely helps TLDR to grow and expand. As I say, it's not just WTF either. There's a whole bunch of other original content on the service, from creators like Real Life Law, Wendover Productions, and Neo. You can also watch every normal TLDR video ad-free on Nebula as well, and in some instances, before they land on YouTube. If you're not a member already, click the link in the description to get 40% off. That's just $30 for a year, or $2.50 a month. We really hope you check out the series, and as always, thanks for your support.